Hello, today I will be doing a solve-through of the Star Battle by Murat Tonta. This was a Saturday puzzle last week on GM Puzzles. I don't completely remember how I did this, so I will probably be winging this a bit and just doing one take. So to start, we need to fit 3 stars into this shape right here. Only one can go into these 3, so the last 2 must fit into here, which leaves us with this. So now we have either a star here or a star here. A star here would fill out these 2 and leave a space here, and the star here would fill out this space and leave a star in one of these 2. Either way, there must be a star between these 2 and a star between these 2, which means we can conclude that these are not stars, and also that there is exactly there is at most one more star in this row. Now if we look at this shape right here, if there are no stars in this row, then there is not enough space to fit 3 stars down here, which means there must be at least 1 star, and because of these 2, there must be 1 star at most, which means that there must be 1 star in this row and no more elsewhere in this row. Since there is definitely a star up here, there is 1 star up here, there must be 2 in this area. And we have this group of 3 which are all touching here, and this group of 2 which are all touching here. So we can conclude that there's 1 here, and 1 here, and that one is not a star. Now is roughly the part where I forget a bit of what I did, so I guess you'll just have to hang in with me here. Let's see. We know there is at least there must be 2 stars up here, since both of these 2 regions are missing 1, so we must have that or that. So if we were to put a star here, we would be forced to have 2 stars up here, which would end up with at least 4 stars in the top row. And since we can't have that, our star must go there, and a star must go there, and we can close off all of these. So now there must be a star in one of these, like so. Now, let's see what we have to do. I'll just mark a star between there. Let's try this. I think around here was when I just started trying things out and seeing what would work and what wouldn't work. Right. So if we had nothing up here, then this row would be taken, which would force this 2 to go into that, which would result in 4 stars in this row. And since we can't have that, we know that there must be at least 1 star up here, and since there are 2 in this region, we can rule out these 2, like that. Now let's see where we can go from here. So quite often when I don't know what to do in Star Battle, I just try out various things and see what works and what doesn't work. So assume we didn't have anything there, then we would be forced to do that. And then there would not be enough room to fill in 3 stars down here. So therefore this cell has to be a star, which means we can fill that in, which means there is exactly 1 star up here, 1 star in here, and 1 star right here, which lets us fill that in. So now we can take a look at this part down here. That's not a star because that would take up too much. There is definitely a star in this area, and one up here, because there's exactly 1 star down here, because otherwise we wouldn't have enough room to fit 3 stars into this 2 shape. So, and there's at most 1 star down there because of these 2 stars. So this star must go there, and we can fill that in like that. That solves the top for us right there. And we already have 3 in this column, so that is solved. So we have 1 star down here, which means that's not a star, which means that is a star, which means that's not a star, which means that row is complete. And since we have a star down here, that row is complete as well. So now we can see that we have 1 star around here, 1 star between, and then that cannot be filled in since that would take up all of that space. So we have that right there, and then we have this star right here because that's the last space available, which means we would now have one between these 2 and a star between these 2, which lets us fill in like that. So now this 4, it's between these 2, these 4, and these 4. This 4 shape right here, which lets us rule out that one. And now I am going to try and figure out what we're supposed to do now. Oh, yes. Since there is a star between these 2, that would complete this column right here. So this column is complete. So there is a star between these 2, which means that this is not a star. And that's a star, that's not a star, that's a star. And then we have that. Alright, now what did we have after this? There can't be a star here because that would take up too much space in this N shape, I'd assume. So that's not a star. I'm not sure how much that actually helps us, but it's roughly what I know. Oh, a star here or a star here would both take up too much space in this shape right here. So those cannot be stars. Yes. There must be a star somewhere in this column, because otherwise we wouldn't have enough room in just these two spots right here. So there must be at most one star in this column, which means there must be 2 stars in these 4 cells right here, which lets us rule out all of those cells right there. And yes, that's about as much. Yes, and since there must be one cell in this column right here, since we don't have enough room to fit all 3 into these 4 cells, there must be exactly one cell in this column, and one between these 2, which also lets us rule out that cell up top, right there. We definitely have a star in one of these 2 cells, which completes this column, which completes the top, which completes this, like that. And then that can let us rule out all of that and get that down to something like that. And that completes this column. And yes, that is good. So now, let's see. Let's see what I should be doing here. Alright. So, I think it's a bit early. Oh, no, hold on. It's not too early. So, if we look at these 3 columns right here, these 3 columns on the top, we can see that we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells in, and then 3 are provided in this area right here, and then because this shape only has cells left in these 3 columns, and 1 more is provided between these 2, which gives us a total of 9 cells in these 3 columns, which will complete it, which means that anything else which is not a part of this shape or these 2 cells is definitely not a star, which let's rule all of that out. And that lets us put 1 cell into one of these 3, 1 or 2 cells, although we cannot have 2 cells in this column, since that would take out everything in this column, which means there must be 1 cell in this column and 1 cell in this column. Since we can only have 1 cell in one of these 3, and there is only 1 cell up there, this pair must resolve to the left one, like so. And now, I think, let's try out that one works. This one also works for the time being, so we can't really tell which one will work at the moment, but we can definitely rule out these 2 in the middle, because a star there would take up too much space out of this region. So now, oh wait, nope, sorry, had a thought but that was wrong. Oh yes, this column needs 2 more and only has 4 spaces, which means it must be between one between those two and one between those two, which lets us rule out all of those cells. And there's also one between these two and one between these two in this column, because we have 2 stars left and 4 squares left. Now we could have something like this, which would rule out all of that, and I think that could work for the time being, although I'm not quite sure. Oh, we also do definitely have, we have 2 spaces left in this column, and we only need 1 more star, which means there's definitely a star between those two, which lets us pull that out. And then, so here we have all of the 3 stars, which are in this region, which means that star goes down here, definitely. Yeah. So this region has 2 stars at the moment, so this can only fit 1 more. And we have these 2 pairs up here and here. So there's 1 star in these 3, and 1 star between these 2. So there must be 1 star between these 2, which lets us rule out that one, and we can put 1 in like that, and that lets us resolve all of these, which means there must now be a star between these 2, and now this bottom region has all of its 3 stars filled in. And that also lets us resolve this pair right here, which resolves this row. So now there must be a star between these 4, between these 2, between these 2, which lets us rule that out, which means there must be a star, at least 1 star in this column. We might have 2. And now let's take a look. Yes, we have a star that, we have this column, which has 3 pairs, and it still needs 3. So there's a star between these 2, a star between these 2, and a star between these 2, which lets us do it as such. So now this region is between 3 pairs as well. Now we can take a look at this. We have, we can look at the bottom 2 rows, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 stars so far. So we need a 6th one, so the 6th one must go right there. And now this row has no stars at the moment, and it has exactly 3 open spaces, which lets us put in 3 stars like that. And this resolves a lot of things. That forces that like that. That completes that row. We have 3 in there now, which forces those, and it forces that now, and that forces that pair into there, it forces that, which completes that row, which forces those 2, and now the bottom row is complete, so it is just these 3, and we are done. And that's a good place to stop.